you work on, it might inspire you to try and write a little bit of fiction. Or if you are a fiction writer and you love to make up stories, hopefully today will make you go, oh, I could try this when I leave here. When you leave here, you're going to be armed with this. It's a character development worksheet. No, we're not filling this whole thing out today, but I actually use this for real when I developed Victor and Lowell from my first book, Cracked. It really is the craziest, most awesome document. I did not create it, but I got permission to use it. It's by a woman. She developed it, Rebecca Sinclair. She's an author too. And she developed this thing, and I wrote to her. I found it online, and I used it when I was starting to write Cracked. And I said, if I ever do a workshop, would you give me permission to use this? And she said, yeah, just make sure you put my name on it and the copyright. I said, absolutely. But I said, it really helped me get inside the heads of these boys, because I'm clearly not a boy, and I had to figure out how teenage boys, my teenage boys, clicked. Like, I needed to know what they were thinking, what they were afraid of. And these are things that I don't know, makes a character feel real to you. So just think about it for a sec. You don't have to write anything. But what do you think makes a character feel real to you? So give you like 10 minutes.
Observe it from the picture. That's an easy question.
He is like a signature pipe.
Yeah, it's a real sleeve. It's called a meerschaum pipe and a deer stalker cap. And it's like, as soon as you put those two things together, it's like, that's Sherlock Holmes, right? That's like, you can sum them up in those little things. And they have fun with it in the new BBC series. Because he just puts the hat on the train. The best way to do that is to focus on like really small details, like a little thing, like a hat or something that makes them distinctive. And also, we mentioned that Holmes was brave, but we didn't mention what else. Like, he has some problems, right? Like, what are some of his problems? He's a drug addict. Yeah, he totally is. He was like, on opium and cocaine, and he had a lot of problems. What else?
And one of the best ways of research is actually doing the activity. So that's why I start with something like this, doing what you love. I had to learn about keeping beehives, so I wanted the facts right in my book. I didn't have to. I could have just Googled it. I could have gone and read books about it. I did all that. I Googled information, I read books, but I also went to the source. I talked to beekeepers, the beekeeper at the White House. I talked to the head beekeeper of New Jersey. The state beekeeper sent me this wonderful photograph.
Same speech does. And different writers have very different rhythms. I mean, you can think about, authors who are very funny and authors who are very serious. All of that goes into building your voice. It's not just a single thing you can pluck off the shelf and say, okay.
It's kind of a compass.
Or to think that they're meeting at the restaurant when he thinks that they're meeting at the bus stop. You have to write that misunderstanding coming about in a natural and believable way. It can't be just where the reader's looking at it saying, like, oh, well, wait a minute, he just said the bus stop. Why is she going to the restaurant? And it's all contrived. I think we've all seen TV shows where everything comes from a misunderstanding, and some of them are so artificial that you look at it and say, why doesn't that person just say to that person such and such, and then it's all going to get cleared up. Like, you don't want to build that kind of situation. You want to show that it's really natural. Like, oh, of course they would think that.
Animals, and so that was what I was mostly focused on. It wasn't until I was already working in animation that I really started to think about things like figuring out what my personal style was, or getting, drawing cartoons and all. And I love drawing cartoons for fun, but I was so focused on just learning the fundamentals of drawing. My mom, who I mentioned is an elementary school art teacher, she would always preach that once you learn the basics, as boring as they may seem, it'll allow you to.
I looked up a lot of different things because I'd be writing it and I would think to myself, wait, would they really do this? So I would have to look up that specific thing, and I would say, oh, well, this thing didn't even exist back then. And I would ask like my parents, like, oh, what did you eat? Did you eat this food? Did you eat this?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. obsessed with that. I had to make her a complete fox outfit. Very often she would do it, just the ears, and somebody gave her a real foxtail, which she would pin to her pants. And this is my daughter Sarah, only Sarah wasn't a boy. Sarah, of course, was a what? This is like a hard question to answer. What was she? She was a girl who thought she was John Lennon. So I thought, if you thought you were John Lennon, then you wouldn't mind if I turned you into a little boy.